Today we're going to reverse the process. We've been looking at what happens is if we know these two lines are parallel, then we know things are congruent or we know things are supplementary. So today what we're going to do is reverse that process. What do you need to know in order to know that two lines are parallel? So if two lines look parallel, you can't just assume they're parallel. Right? Unless the problem straight up tells you this line's parallel to that line, we don't know. But what other ways could we figure out that the lines are parallel? And there are 4 ways.
They have lines.
Transversal.
All right, stop. No. We're not doing this. Okay? We're using the converse, which is switching the order. So if two lines are crossed by a transversal, so that a pair of corresponding angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel. So in this diagram, if I know that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, then I know that lines A and B have to be parallel. And instead of writing out this whole sentence, we're going to abbreviate the title. So this is the converse of, and let's abbreviate some of these terms. The corresponding, C-O-R-R. Instead of writing out the word angle, we'll write the angle symbol with an S on it to make it plural. And if you just write that, that's not quite enough. I need to know that it is the postulate. You can abbreviate postulate, though, if you would like. It's the converse of the corresponding angle's postulate. Pardon? Okay. This also works if you know that the alternate interior angles are congruent. Again, if two lines are crossed by a what? Transversal. So that a pair of alternate interior angles are related how? What's supposed to be true about alternate interior angles? Congruent. Then the lines are parallel. This is the converse of the alternate interior angles theorem. And you're welcome to, I don't know where I picked this up, it was sometime in college. Instead of writing the first 3 letters to abbreviate something, sometimes they would write the first 2 and then the last letter and put a line under the last one. I don't know why. But that's one way to abbreviate theorem. If you want to write this out, the other way you could do it, and most students don't like this, but I'll show it to you. You could say, if alternate interior angles are congruent, then lines are parallel. If you would rather write that, that's fine also. It's entirely up to you. It's your choice. But you have to know one of those two. Just by a quick show of hands, how many of you think you'll be more likely to use the first one? Pretty much everybody. Okay. You think you're more likely to use the second one?
Probably.
Okay. That's fine. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. Okay, we can also do this with alternate exterior angles. Again, you have to have two lines that are crossed by a transversal. So that a pair of alternate exterior angles are, what's the relationship supposed to be for alternate exteriors? Congruent. Then the lines are parallel. So in this diagram, if angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent, since those are alternate exterior angles, this is the converse of the alternate exterior angles theorem. So anytime you end with the lines parallel, it's going to be the converse. When you start with the lines parallel, it's just the alternate exterior angles theorem or the corresponding angles postulate. And then the last one is the same side interior angles theorem. Sorry, what was that?
What was the last part? Short-term rentals.
You're welcome. So if two lines are crossed by a transversal, so that a pair of same side interior angles are, what's the relationship supposed to be here? Supplementary. Very good. Then the lines are parallel. So we're going to fix this because this is wrong, isn't it? It's not supposed to say they're congruent, is it? What's it supposed to say? Yeah, angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. Then line A is parallel to line AB by the converse of the same side interior angles theorem. All right, so what kind of problems will you have to do? Well, some of the ones on the homework tonight will look like this. It'll say something like this: use one of the theorems or the postulate along with the given information to show that line R is parallel to line S? So, let's start with this first one. Angle 1 and angle 3. What type of angles are angle 1 and angle 3? Corresponding. Is congruent the right relationship for corresponding angles to have? Yeah. So this is the converse of the corresponding angles postulate. Remember, the corresponding angles one is the only one that's a postulate. All right, let's look at this next one. It says that angle 2 is 67. I'm going to write that lightly on there, and 3 is 113. It'd be nice if I wrote that in the right place. 2 is 67, and 3 is 113. Are those two congruent?
No.
No. What kind of angles are angle 2 and angle 3? Same side interior. And what's supposed to be the relationship? Supplementary. If I add those two, does that add up to 180?
Yes.
Yeah. So this would be the converse of the same side interior angles theorem.
What's the difference between postulate and a theorem?
It's a good question. So a postulate is something that we assume is true without actually proving it. With a theorem, we can prove it based on things that we already know. So here's the deal. When we first started this, don't anybody worry about, don't mark this down. If I know that this is parallel to this, it sure looks like angle 3 is congruent to angle 1, those two corresponding. And that's pretty easy to visualize. You just take angle 3 and just move it across and it fits right on top of angle 1. If that's true, then because 1 and 7 are vertical angles, angle 7 is congruent to angle 3. So we're basing it on that postulate. So since we're basing it on something we've already decided, yeah, that's true, that becomes a theorem. And then since 3 is congruent to 5, well, that means that angle 5 and angle 1 are congruent. That's the alternate interior angles theorem. And then since 3 is a supplement to angle 6, they're going to add up to 180. But 3 and 7 are the same size, so 7 and 6 have to add up to 180. So all those other things are true. We start with the corresponding angles and we base everything else on that. If that's true, all these other things have to be true. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, that's a terrific question. Yeah, it's not just, magic when we decide. Some of these are theorems and some of them are postulates, and we're not going to tell you why. Just memorize that. All right, let's look at the next one. Measure of angle 8 is 31, the measure of angle 4 is 81. What type of angles are 8 and 4? Alternate exterior. What relationship are they supposed to have? Congruent. If they're both 31, are they congruent? Yeah. So this is the converse of the alternate exterior angles theorem. And then they decided to get tricky on us here. on number 4. They give you the two angles in terms of x, and then they tell you what x is equal to. So let's go ahead and find out, well, exactly how big is this angle? So the measure of angle 2 is going to be 3 times 15 minus 7. Yeah, it's 45 minus 7 is 38. And the measure of angle 6 is 2 times 15 plus 8. That's 30 plus 8 is 38. So they've told us in a very roundabout way that those two angles were congruent. What type of angles are angle 2 and 6? Alternate interior. Is congruent the relationship we want those to have? Yeah. So this is the converse of the alternate interior angles theorem. All right, let's do the same thing for this one. Angle 5 and angle 7. So the measure of angle 5 will be equal to 6 times 20 plus 21. Let's see, that's 120 plus 21 is 141. The measure of angle 7 is 8 times 20 minus 19. So it's 160 minus 19. It's also 141. So what have they told us about angle 5 and 7? That they're congruent. So let's go back up here and look at angle 5 and angle 7. What type of angles are 5 and 7? Corresponding. So this is the converse of the corresponding angles postulate.
Is it homework or piece of paper, or is it on the textbook?
I believe it's in the textbook tonight. I just made Max sad. Hang on just a second, let me double check. Yes, but tomorrow will be a worksheet, so you don't have bookwork over the weekend.
How many questions do you think?
I have no idea.
Oh, can I give that the notes for tomorrow?
4 books.
Yes, hang on just a moment.